and welcome back to Wires from the Deep, a Silo podcast. Today is May 3rd, 2023, and you're listening to episode 2, Rabbit Army 10 Years Later. So, although we're calling this episode 2, this is technically just a rerun. We're having reruns already, Kelly.
That's great. I mean, that's good for us, right? This is like episode 1.5. We're at
Yeah.
1.7.
Yeah, so
We're just waiting for Friday.
Yeah. So in our first episode, we talked about how 10 years ago we interviewed author Hugh Howey. And so I dug it up and I listened to it. And after I got past the massive cringe,
It was really cringy.
it was. Oh my God. I sound like a literal child.
I think it's more on us than everyone else. Like
I couldn't handle it at first. I shut it off. I was listening to it in my car and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And then I got home and I was like, I need to listen to the whole thing. So I got through it. And then I was like, it's actually kind of funny. So I guess we should.
And it was a good time.
Yeah. At first I was like, oh, hell no. But yeah. So,
we can put it back out there.
Yeah. But so I listened to it and we actually talk a lot about the, about Wool and like adapting it as a movie, which I thought was kind of funny. I mean, I think at one point I told him, oh, please don't let this take 30 years to be made. I totally jinxed it. We jinxed it.
I know, yeah. Just about to say.
But yeah, we like had him take a pop quiz and everything. It was pretty funny. So
honestly, though, I'm totally more into like series.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that too because there's so much more room, right? I mean, there's a whole lot more you can do with.
You're not trying to just like condense some book into like 2 hours of what you think is important. You can, you know, even add a little.
I mean, it was the same way with Sandman. I don't know if you've read the Sandman comics, but that was a Netflix series last year, and I had been waiting for that to become adapted for like I don't know, also 30 years or something like that, or maybe 20. I forget. It was a lot, and then they finally came out with a Netflix show for that last year, which was
whereas
really awesome.
Like Harry Potter can get like 10 movies, and then 3 years later they're like, and now we're going to make a series. Yeah, great. Just what we need. The kids that played, you know, Harry. They're what, like my age? They're way younger than me, aren't they? I don't even know anymore.
I don't know, but Daniel Radcliffe is like having children now and things, so I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I guess it's time for a series after all.
Yeah, so we are just here to just ease into the episode. We're just going to play that, and that's about it. But before we get to that, I just wanted to mention some debut events this week that are happening. So the subreddits for Wool and the Silo series. So the Wool one is for the books, and the Silo series one is for the show. So if you're looking for discussion on Reddit for that, those are the places to go. We're going to have dedicated threads coming up closer to Friday, and then the official fan group that Hugh runs is going to have discussion threads, and then there's the Down Deep Discord, which I opened earlier this week. So look for that. I'm going to be moderating a watch party on May 5th from 7 to 9 Eastern. So be sure to pop in there. You can go to the downdeep.net and there should be a link on the front page for that. So yeah, that's about it. Oh, and the Wires from Deep is now on YouTube. So if you prefer to listen to podcasts on YouTube, you can just search for us there.
All right.
Okay, so without further ado, here is EnderCast episode 17, hosted by Kelly Severs and the Childlike Empress. Seriously, I sound like a kid. Anyway, enjoy.
Hey everyone, and welcome to EnderCast, more fun than a game of buggers and astronauts. You are listening to episode 17 called Rabbit Army. Today is June 6, 2013. My name is Crystal from EnderWiggin.net, here with my co-host Kelly from EnderNews.com. Say hi, Kelly.
Hey everybody.
Alright, so today we are joined by a special guest. His name is Hugh Howey. He is the author of the Silo series, which began with the book Wool, and the second book is titled Shift, and he has the upcoming conclusion to the series with Dust in August. Say hi, Hugh.
Hi, Hugh.
I totally almost called you Wool. Did you?
Well,
That's how she thinks of you in her head.
Yeah, everybody knows my book better than me, which is how it should be, I suppose.
Anyway, for anyone who hasn't heard of it, Wool is a story about a civilization of people that live underground, which is why we're calling this episode Rabbit Army, because rabbits burrow underground. But yeah, so they live in an underground silo, and it's a story about I don't know, wool,
about people living underground, sheep living underground.
Okay, I am just going to say, just to be completely honest, I have not read your books yet. I read your short story, and I was going along, and I was like, this is awesome, he's going to get... Well, I don't think I should spoil this for anybody.
Oh,
but at the end...
You can spoil it if you want.
Well, maybe. At the end, I was so depressed. I was like, this is not... Man! And then, so now I have to read them, because I have to know what happened. But
and
really great.
It's weird how that works, how like an unhappy ending makes people want to read more. But
I know.
Go figure.
So, yeah, just to give a bit of background about the story, it started off as Wool 1, which was a short story, which is actually really well contained.
Yeah, it's really good.
Do you want to share with us a little bit about the fan reaction and like what made you write more, basically?
Yeah, people just started bugging me for more of these. I guess they didn't like the way the first one ended, so they wanted me to keep going. And yeah, I dropped what I was doing, working on this other novel, and started writing more in this series. And it's been a pretty wild ride. I've been writing stuff in the Silo series now for the last couple of years. I've thrown in a couple of other stories and novels in there, but this is what people want, and until the next book comes out in August and wraps everything up, and then I can move on to something else.
So one of the reasons we asked you to come on our podcast, I mean, this is an Ender's Game podcast, but there seems to be a bit of a parallel with you and Orson Scott Card, because, I mean, Ender's Game was a short story first, and then he expanded it to a full novel later, and he eventually wrote a ton of books about it later. So, I mean, do you want to tell us a little bit about what it's like to watch something that's just what starts out as really small and then becomes bigger and bigger and bigger? I mean, what is that like?
It's pretty cool, and that's something I bring up to people who think that this is a really unusual circumstance. But and growing up, if anyone asked me what my favorite book of all time was, I would tell them Ender's Game, and it started as the Battle Room. Another favorite of mine, Fahrenheit 451, started off as a short story. So with science fiction, there's kind of a history of this, where you publish a short story in an anthology or a magazine, and if the reaction to it is really positive, you might flesh that out into a full-length novel. So there's really the market for short fiction, and especially in the science fiction genre, is really dwindled. There used to be a lot of outlets, and now there's only a handful of magazines, and the rest is online. So I started publishing my short stuff on the Kindle store at 99 cents, which was as low as you can price it. And when I saw when that became my best-selling book, I decided I should flesh it out more.
By the way, I feel like I should note that Hugh made Wool 1 free forever. So if any of you want to go and read that, it's free on Amazon, right?
Which I just did. It was so good.
Yeah,
You guys have to read it.
Compare me to a crack dealer now.
All right, so do you want to, since you mentioned that Ender's Game, when you were growing up, that was your favorite book, so you want to give us a bit more of your fan background, like who gave you the book, or how did you find it, and how old were you when you read it, things like that?
I think I was 12 when I read it for the first time, and I think I've read it maybe 6 or 7 times since then. And
That's more than me.
I got it in I've got a lot of years on you, so you'll catch up. It's one of those. What's weird? It's one of those books where I never. This was the first book I noticed this. The more you read a book, the quicker you can read it, and you still read every single word, but because you're so familiar with the material, like I can sit and read that book now in probably 3.5, 4 hours and read every single page.
Yeah,
I do that as well. Yeah.
It's so funny that you say that because, nowadays when I tell people to read Ender's Game, like, oh, you can read it in less than a day, like half a day, and like they're like, it didn't take me half a day. It took me like 3 days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But by the third time, you're reading it like that. Because you start seeing it like a movie. It's like your brain processes the words, and you're so familiar with it, you see it like a movie.
The thing that I love about books, though, what you're saying is that I can reread books over and over and over, and it's a comforting thing because like the same mental images sort of form themselves in my head. So like every time I read it, I'm getting like these same pictures, and it gets faster and faster. And I actually have a friend with whom I live that she doesn't understand how anyone can read a book more than once. And I just don't understand that because I think that we getting through it once isn't good enough.
I totally agree. There's another book I've read several times, Battlefield Earth, which has a bad reputation because of the movie is awful and there's a wacky religion affiliated with the author. But it's on Time's like top 100 novels of all time list for a reason. But it's this 1,200-page massive book, and I've gotten now where I can read it in a day.
Wow.
And it's so comforting. It's like watching a film,
It's funny because I've only read Battlefield Earth once. My dad gave it to me. He was like, "I want you to read this and tell me what you think." But and then I know later on I found out about the whole Scientology thing, and then I saw the awful movie. But I still really love the book. I remember thinking, even at a young age, that it was really good.
It is such a good book.
Yeah, I should buy another copy and or buy my own copy.
I went into the Scientology office right on Times Square in New York. I was in town on vacation, and I was walking around, and I saw the sign. I was like, I am dying to read that book again. I think I gave my copy away. I'm going to go in and see if they have it. So I walk in, and they have all this Dianetics stuff, which I think is what started Scientology. And I said, you guys have Battlefield Earth? And they like kind of turned their nose up. And I'm like,
really?
You realize your guy wrote that. But like, no, we don't have that. But they said, they started like, but why don't you come and, what's your name? Come talk to us. Come in and they're grabbing a clip and like to fill this out. And I'm like backing out. Like, God, the doors could be locked. I'm like, my wife will never hear from me again. I just wanted a book. It's very creepy.
You're wondering if anyone knows where you are. You're reaching for your phone. Yeah. Oh dear.
Oh, that's scary. Yeah, I saw a job ad once and for a Scientology thing over here once, and I told my husband, and he was like, "Don't go to that."
It would have been an adventure, Crystal.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't be here doing EnderCast today. All right, anyway.
So is this your 17th EnderCast?
Yes.
It's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
we're like weekly now meeting up. Like, hey.
Yeah, we started off thinking, oh, we'll do this like twice a month, maybe.
Right.
And we were like, how are we going to find anything to talk about? But I don't know, we find things to talk about every week, so.
What are your plans for the film launch?
You know how that is. It's like a movie comes out. We're going to Comic-Con this July. We're hoping to get to speak to some people there, and the closer we get to the film, I think we'll have a bit more success with EnderCast, at least when it comes to guests and everything. When it comes to the premiere, we don't know. It's way too early. Nobody schedules anything like that in advance, so we're just it's kind of a day by day thing right now.
I think you should be invited to that premiere. You guys should get to.
Hey, I think we should run with that idea.
Yeah, we should take your soundbite of you saying that and send it to Summit and be like,
Hugh Howey.
Man, I don't have any power over that. If I did, I'd be at the premiere.
No, we'd be like, hey, Hugh Howey thinks that we should go.
That's something,
and they would say,
right?
Who's Hugh Howey? I've never heard of that guy. Oh, so when I read Ender's Game for the first time, I was living in Monroe, North Carolina. And after I finished it, I started it immediately. It was like, the way kids did with Harry Potter, where you read the last page and you sit there and your mind is blown and you go to the first page. But this time I read the second time through, I read the foreword and realized that this author lived in North Carolina, and I couldn't believe that. as a young kid, like authors did not live in North Carolina as far as I was concerned.
They're like on some other planet where special authors live, and you can never touch them or anything.
So
for some reason, I thought they all lived in big cities. Like they just had to.
Are you a fan of the subsequent books? Have you like continued reading like into Enderverse or is it Ender's Game?
I loved Speaker for the Dead. I read the original 4, and then but I've only read them. I've read Speaker for the Dead twice. I've read the other ones once when I was very young, and
that must have been rough.
Yeah, well, what got me back into it was I think I would enjoy those more now as an adult than I did as a young kid. I loved the Shadow series and the Bean stuff.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I think Bean has become, like, to me, a more endearing character overall than Ender. Who, the more I read him, I mean, I'll love Ender to my last breath, but he almost becomes too perfect of a character, and his only flaw really is some of his family dynamics and his internal angst over not being like Peter. But Bean is so much more flawed and more interesting of a backstory, I think.
Have you read Ender in Exile? That one that's kind of new. It kind of fills the. I actually really like that because it fills the gap between at the end of Ender's Game and Speaker for the Dead. So you see, like, I mean, I think it does bring him a little bit more like into character, and so he's not this like kind of one-dimensional thing where he has stuff going on with his family, and you get to see like a bunch of letters he wrote to Graf, and he actually does contact his family at one point, which I really liked. But I agree with you about Bean. We were just talking about the Ender Shadow book, and Krista was saying how, when you see exactly how it did play out at the end, and you see that Bean knew what was going on, and they were kind of relying on him, it kind of took away from Ender's glory, kind of, because that it wasn't all, everything wasn't actually resting on his shoulders, kind of. Do you feel that way, like the back when you get to see behind the scenes? Yeah.
Because I mean, Bean was the heir apparent.
Right.
But I also, having read that book, I don't think Bean could have pulled off what Ender did. I don't think they would have.
Yeah,
I don't
he
think
admits that, right? He says, "I didn't have anything."
He doesn't have the leadership qualities, right? He doesn't have the ability to have people follow him or want to follow him and stuff like that. So I did get that.
Ender had that problem. Ender had a problem getting people to follow him. It took a while for people to get over even these other kids who were used to getting told by adults, "You're too young." They did the exact same thing to Ender. You're too young. You're too small.
Well, I think with Ender, go ahead. Sorry.
I feel like Ender's problem was more that he didn't understand that people were his friends and people were following him. I mean, he was so isolated because of the teachers and things like that. He wasn't really ever sure if people were his friends. I think there's at one point in the book where he's like, "Is Eli my friend?" And
it's such a sad scene.
I know,
oh my gosh.
I know, it's so sad. But yeah, so I don't know, maybe that lended to some of his humility, or I don't know, or his confidence as a leader, because he was never really sure about that. He just had to assume that they were behind him, or I don't know.
It's weird because I do prefer, I think I prefer Ender, and then I go back and read Bean, and I really like him too. I loved Speaker for the Dead. The first time I read it when I was like 14, it was so over my head. Like, I was like, because it was so different from Ender's Game. I didn't really get what was going on. Rereading it as an adult, I think Speaker for the Dead is amazing. That being said, I didn't really care for how that went in that plot line, but Bean's story on Earth I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah, it's amazing that both of those books back to back won the Hugo and the Nebula. It shows that the critical community and the readers both came behind both of those books. It's pretty amazing.
So going on to my next question. So you were previously a yacht captain, and yet you write science fiction like Wool, and even heavier based on science, the Mollified series. Are you a science whiz, or do you have to do a lot of research? Do you have to consult with people?
Yeah, I don't have to do a lot of research. I really only write within the bounds of stuff that I kind of know. I've always been a huge science fanatic and went to school to be a physics major before I switched to English. And I've always read the science journals and magazines and books and nonfiction. So it's just something I've always enjoyed.
So you're like right brain and left brain, because my whole like mathematical science part of my head is like, I don't even think it exists. I could never write a science fiction book. Like when I read them and people are like, the science in that is really poorly done. I'm like, I don't even know.
Yeah,
Sounds
I'm
good
the
to me.
same way. My husband read Earth Unaware, and he was like, "That was awful. Science was terrible." And I was like, "Oh, I had no idea. It sounded fine to me."
So I have times where I know the science is wrong, but I like, the story, it has to go this way. And, any story that has time travel in it, I feel like that. I'm like, this is not good, not right, but I need time travel. I'm going to use it.
And it is fiction, so you could stretch
Yeah,
it a little bit,
It's futuristic fiction. I mean, who knows what they figured out by then? That's what I always tell myself. I'm like, it's the future.
I lost you guys.
What were we talking about?
Science. Science.
Yeah,
Oh,
science.
Science.
Weren't you saying something, Kelly?
Lord only knows what I was saying.
I totally messed everything up.
It's okay.
This happens to us all the time.
Yeah, more than we would like to admit. You should have heard our first couple podcasts. They're awful.
I think podcasts are best when they're unscripted and uncoordinated and just all over the place.
Oh well, we had audio issues, so it's like when you listen to it, you're like, "What is she saying?"
I think at Comic-Con, if our internet is working really well, we should totally have live ones so people can understand.
Yeah.
Well, where were you guys? Will you just be roaming around during Comic-Con, or?
We're probably going to be camping in line for Hall H.
I heard with Comic-Con you stand in line for a long time to watch a trailer.
It's the annual standing in line convention.
But then, so you watch a trailer, and then isn't the trailer on YouTube the next day?
Yeah, so I mean, technically, it's cheaper to just stay home. But yeah, we want to meet people. I mean, are you good? Do you know if you're gonna go yet?
That's why I would go. I can't. I was gonna go because we were gonna have a comic book to announce, but I think it's going to be New York Comic Con that we do that.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to share was that I have a fan site for Wool called The Down Deep, and I don't know if I ever told you this, Hugh, but I actually started that while I was visiting the Ender's Game set in New Orleans.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was working on it on my laptop in the hotel in New Orleans.
So you've been on this? You were on the set while they were filming.
Yeah,
we all got to go. Like 4 sites, we got to go. We got a huge tour of everything. Like they showed us everything. They let us touch everything. It was awesome.
No way! That's crazy. So
yeah. It was so funny too because I
want to hear so much about that.
The guy that we talked to from Summit. I was like, hey, so any chance you're gonna do fan site visits? Or set visits? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm working on that. I was like, what? I was joking.
I know. I got an email one day. He was like, "Oh, you want to come?" I was in Germany, okay, like near Frankfurt, and got to go. So it was crazy, and it was insane. And they literally held nothing back.
Did you get to see the cast? Were they filming? Did you get to see some of the?
Yeah. We got to watch them film stuff.
How much of it was set, and how much was blue screen or green screen?
I don't know how much we can say.
Unfortunately, I don't know.
Yeah, we're still under.
Something.
Oh, you got
NDAs.
But we're gonna be able to talk about it soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear about that. Well, if the Wool movie gets filmed, maybe you can use your Down Deep website and say, hey, I covered covered Ender's Game. You should totally let me on.
Yes, definitely.
It's not unlikely.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think we mentioned it, but yeah, Will got picked up by none other than Ridley Scott. Very exciting.
Yeah, I hope we should find out something in the next month or so, just on what they think of the screenplay and chances of it going forward.
So did the director ever officially sign on? I don't know if you can reveal that, but it was Jay Blakeson, right?
Yeah, he's signed on and he's written the screenplay.
Oh,
And
awesome.
it's wrapped. I think he's doing some revisions to it, but he's
See, that's
he's
gonna
on board.
be awesome for you. Is you get to go to your own movie set.
Yeah, but it'd be a toss up for me. Getting to be on the set of Ender's Game would be right up there with like being on the Wool set. I mean, that's
It
a
makes
movie I've wanted them to make for so many years now.
it makes my face turn red when I talk about it, like getting to go. I
That's
start
so
turning
cool.
all red. Like it was the best thing.
Well,
That's incredible.
please make sure that it doesn't take 30 years for a Wool movie to get made. Because
Yeah, I don't know if I won't be alive in 30 years probably.
it's been a long wait for Ender's Game. If you want to picture me and Kelly on the set of Ender's Game, just imagine two young ladies just with their mouths open, gaping up at everything.
One of the funniest things I remember is we were sitting in the video garden where they were letting us watch scenes being filmed, and we weren't allowed, obviously to take anything. Like that sounds like thievery, but I picked up this little string from the floor. I was like, Crystal, tie this around my wrist so I can take it with me. So I have
is
that little
totally
black
something I would do.
string. I still have it in a box. It's so funny.
I would totally do that.
Yeah.
Um,
So speaking of the movie, if you've seen the trailer, I guess?
oh
What'd you
yeah,
think?
I loved it. I loved it, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't picture Harrison Ford until I saw him, and then I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
The battle room is so much cooler than it was in my head.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, in my
so
head it was so plain. In
Yeah.
my head it was like four walls, white
I know.
walls, with a couple of cubes in it, the stars.
It's so funny that everybody says that.
They're complaining. People are like, "Oh, that's not what the battle room is supposed to look like. It's supposed to be a room with four walls in the dark." I was like, "That would make a great movie. That sounds
Yeah.
awesome." You know?
Boring.
Yeah, that cracks me up when people are like, "Oh my god, it looks way more exciting than I imagine it to be," and I don't like that.
Yeah, I think there's some people who just should not look at the trailers or go to the movies at all because they're never going to be happy. I'm like so forgiving when it comes to films. If I
Me
love
too.
the book is not going to change. Even if the movie is bad, like Battlefield Earth, I still enjoy watching it. It's like, okay, those are the characters that I love. I'm getting to see them move around, and yeah, it's cheesy and they wreck the plot, but it's still
got some
entertaining.
camp factor to it.
Yeah, yeah.
We had Aaron Johnston on here last week. He co-authors with Orson Scott Card on the Ender's Game sequels, or the prequels, I'm sorry. And we were just talking about how it's like it doesn't ruin anything. If you don't like it, then it's not a big deal. You can just go read the book again, It's just fun. You get to see the battle room. You get to see everything. There's some cool stuff. Like, why everyone's so uptight about it? And I don't really understand that. I think it's exciting.
Nothing will change the book. I've had a lot of people ask me, like, are you going to be involved in the film and don't let them mess it up? I'm like, they can't possibly mess it up. I mean,
Right.
I've done my little thing, and it's over there on the shelf, and they're going to do their thing, and it's going to be on the screen, and I don't know.
That approach is probably how authors get their movies, get their books made into movies, is by just being, you do your thing and I've got my thing.
I mean, that's an awesome attitude. Do you think it'll be that easy? I mean, you're saying that now, but do you think like when it comes down to it, when they're like making your movie and they're like changing stuff, are you gonna be like, no, or do you just don't care? What do you think?
Because I have this same attitude toward other people's work, where I just support both mediums. I think you can't take a book and turn it into a film because it'd have to be like an 8-hour film.
Right, exactly.
But they've already told me the things that need to be done differently, and I totally agree. I mean, so much of Wool takes place in internal narrative.
Yeah.
Right, like with Ender's Game.
Like with Ender's Game, yeah.
Yeah, so you have to, okay, how are we going to have more of an action scene here, and how are we going to highlight, this interaction? Everything that they've done with the screenplay for Wool to change the plot points. As soon as Blakeson brought any of that up, I was like, "You're a genius. That's exactly the way it needs to be."
That's really good to hear.
If anything, it makes me wish, like, okay, now the book sucks in comparison. Like, the movies are so much better than the book.
Now, can you do that? Can you write a book based on the movie afterwards?
Yeah, you could, but I think it'd get confusing. But yeah, you certainly could. I mean, people write film adaptations all the time.
There you go. I mean, it's crazy because the thing I hear the most often is, I really hope they don't ruin the book. As if when the movie comes out, the book just disappears into existence, or
Yeah, it starts to
it gets
morph.
like
Like,
marked
I'm
off.
melting!
Yeah, like it's so
Yeah.
weird to me, but I guess
I think for some people it does ruin it in their heads where they see a character differently now when they read it. And for those
Those people have
just
no
don't,
imagination.
well, just don't go to the movie.
Yes, just don't go.
Like I've seen some people say that they go back and they read the book and they can only picture Harrison Ford now. So I mean I can see that, but I don't know. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean it's Harrison Ford, right?
Yeah, I mean that's an upgrade from what I was imagining.
I know.
Or-
People were
My-
talking about he
He's
doesn't
not
look
going to get fat. He doesn't gradually get fat in the movie. Oh my god! Like it's like the least important thing. That Harrison Ford does not gradually become obese throughout the plot line of Ender's Game.
I've always wondered how he even got fat. I mean, can you get
I think it was
obese
his
from space
stress.
food?
Fascinating.
Yeah, I think it was his stress of what he was doing to these kids. He's like he kept going to the zero G
Ice
donut
cream.
station down there.
Space food.
So, yeah, the space cream. So I think one way to look at the fanaticism that some readers have towards this is that this is a positive thing, because
Oh yeah.
it shows how much people love this material. What would be really bad is if you had a movie come out and no one cared that they changed anything.
Yeah,
they were
that's
like,
true.
yeah, who cares? The book sucked,
The movie was better.
Yeah, exactly. That's my fear. It's like the movie's going to come out and be like, oh, finally, someone took this rubbish and made it into something entertaining.
Well, I don't think that's gonna happen because I am a big fan of Wolves, so we'll see.
We'll see. I want to see something get made. I can't imagine what it feels like. I mean, Nicholas Sparks knows for sure what it feels like to sit in a theater and see like something you made up on a movie screen.
He knows very well.
I would probably have to like. I mean, I don't know. I think I will probably go see it 2 or 3 times the first day if something like that happened. Or maybe I just say that because I'm so distant from it. And once it comes out, you'd see it one time and be sick of it. I don't know. I can't imagine.
I wonder if Orson Scott Card will go and see it 3 times in one day.
Yeah, he probably gets to have some kind of private screening.
Oh yeah. Aaron Johnston was on here last week, and he's seen a cut of the movie. So we're guessing like that the producers were invited to some sort of private showing, which means Orson Scott Card has probably seen it, at least probably as well. So you might get to see it way before.
So would you want to go see the movie because you want to see like audience reactions, or just because you want to just watch it over and over?
I think just to watch it over and over again. I don't know. Maybe it'll be different if it, once it finally comes out, because I probably will have already seen it before it hits the theater.
You said that you like to people watch, yeah.
Yeah, it would be fun to be in the theater afterwards and be like, oh my god, it's so much better than the book, or that's not what that's supposed to be like. Yeah, I don't know.
Now, what would you do if you went to the theater to see your film, or the film, and everyone in the theater was like, "What is this nonsense?" Would you be upset? What would you do?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would try to.
You would stand up and be like,
it.
"I'm Hugh Howey."
I would not.
There
I would
would
not do
be,
that.
There would be people posting on it. I went to see this movie Wool, and like there's this guy that broke down crying after I said something mean about the movie.
Actually, when I go to my theater, it's only usually a handful of people in the audience, even if it's like the Avengers and stuff like that. So I can't imagine there being a lot of people in there.
Oh, well, I live in a very big city, so when I go to the movies, there's like 200, 300 people in there with me. So,
well, part if they do make the movie, I get to, and I'm assuming they never will. I'm saying all this stuff. It's like a fantasy. My assumption is the movie will never get made. But if they did, I get a 1 week on-set vacation where I get to, like you guys did, I get to do a set visit but stay for a week. And so the part of the thrill for me will be sitting there and watching the credits go by and be like, oh, the key grew up, like, oh yeah, Jeremy, I remember him. Like we used to hang out at the craft services table and eat Oreos together. So, the credits will take on a whole different meaning.
Right.
My sister works on a TV show, and she says that she's worked on a lot of films, and she says those are the people who stay and watch the credits, the people who work in the industry and know people.
Oh yeah,
on this.
I've heard that too. Because Battleship was filmed here, and so a lot of the locals were extras, and they were saying that all the extras and all the crew who worked locally, they were all they all stayed to the very end just to look at all the names.
Yeah, it's so cool. I just saw that film for the first time, and the first 30 minutes, I was like, "What is this?" And then I really enjoyed it by the end. I thought it was a fun film. It did horrible in the theaters, though.
Well, I can kind of see why, but I mean, I only saw it because of the actors. So, all right, we need to move on to our pop quiz.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I forgot we were doing that. So excited.
I'm going to be so bad.
Okay, so we structured these questions assuming that you hadn't read it in a few years, but then you said earlier that it only takes you several hours to read it. So have you brushed up on it to prepare?
No, I should have. I've been
Okay.
too busy. I should have read it before this. I would have done better. I'm horrible with proper nouns, so I won't remember it.
No, but
But I
that's
think,
good because we made it
yeah,
easier for
should be
you.
fine. It's
Oh,
the first question is, I think, absurdly easy. If you don't get this right, I think we should just hang up the call.
Okay.
Now, Crystal, if he doesn't get it right, we have to edit that out, right?
No, you just have to hang up on it. That'll be the best ending. It'll just go completely.
That was Hugh Howey, everyone.
Somebody's gonna come to your house and confiscate your Ender's Game fan card and everything.
Oh God, you got me nervous. I'm like sweating here.
Okay, here's the first
Wait,
question.
wait. We need to explain it. Okay,
Explain what?
so it's called Pop Quiz Fart Eater. And we're going to ask you 5 questions in increasing difficulty. And if you can get at least 2.5 out of 5. So sometimes we award half points, that's why.
At our discretion.
If you can get 2.5 out of, if you can get 2.5 out of 5, then you'll become a commander. And if not, then we're going to have to put you on our fart eater list.
I don't mind being a fart eater, so let's see how it goes.
Good. It's a good attitude. All right, first question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What is Ender's sister's name?
Oh my God, I'm not going to blink on that.
No.
Ender's sister's name. I know she writes as Demosthenes. Okay, Peter is the brother.
Yes.
Valentine. Oh.
There we go. I was really worried that you were going to get that wrong.
Well, this is proper nouns.
Too, I was like, oh my God, all that joking got him really nervous.
So, no, really, when I write my any book I've ever written, I've always messed up one of the names of my own characters somewhere in the rough draft.
Really?
And my wife will find it, and they'll be like, "Do you mean so and so?" Yeah. And a couple times it survived into publication. I'm horrible with proper nouns. So let's ask me another name question.
You're 1 out of 5 right now, so you're doing well.
You gave me a really easy one.
Yeah, but hey, Crystal, what's the next question?
All right, thanks for the gimme.
All right, so question 2. Dap refers to himself as the launchie's what?
Mom.
That was so much faster.
Yeah.
It is the proper noun thing. Look at that.
Yeah, I really am. I think I have some kind of disability with it. I concentrate. When I meet people, I concentrate on their name. And no matter how hard I concentrate, I forget it immediately. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I read sometimes, a name is just a shape to me. It's like, especially if it's a weird name, it's like I don't even sound it out in my head. It's very strange.
Right.
All right, question 3. What are the names of the co-hosts of EnderCast? Just kidding.
That's not a real one. Get on my Skype.
What's my name, Hugh? What's my name?
Callie and Crystal. That's cheating.
Okay.
My screen right now.
So you don't get any points for that, sorry.
No. Okay. All right. Question number 3. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What army does Bonzo trade Ender to?
Let's see. He's on. He gets Dragon. That's the one they bring out of retirement for them because they never won. He sends him to Rabbit. I got that wrong. Is it Salamander?
No. It was so
Salamander.
close though. It was Rat Army because Bones
Rat
was the
Army.
commander of Salamander, and then he went to Rat.
I don't.
But
I
that's
shouldn't
okay.
I don't want any points for that. I just want to
You're
fart
not.
noise. It's
We're not
horrible.
giving you. The only word you got right was army, which doesn't get We're not that generous. But you're still at 2, so you're doing really well.
Yeah, you just have to get one more of the last 2 really hard questions.
Or
Okay.
half. Which, again.
All right, question 4. Ender eventually discovers that command school on Eros used to be used as what?
Oh, it was a mining asteroid. They had tunneled it out. No. They used to live there. The
Ooh.
buggers used to live there. Oh, I'm thinking of the.
Holy cow, you saved yourself there,
I'm
man.
thinking about the asteroid that he ends up in at the very ending.
Command
right?
school, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you got it right.
That's why the tunnels are different, because they used to the buggers used to live there.
Right. They use it as a base when they invaded Earth and everything.
Yeah, that sounds like a half point maybe.
No, I
you
think
got it
I
right.
think you were good.
Yeah.
You were good.
So you are actually officially a commander, but we want to do question 5 anyway. So see how smart you are. We need to have your score.
Oh, boy.
Right. All right. So, question number 5.
He's
What?
actually doing pretty good, though. We should give him my extra hard question.
Oh. Well, this one's pretty hard. We can ask him the extra hard question afterward. If
All
he
right.
needs it.
Okay.
What position is Graf given after his court-martial?
He's demoted, but it's a way to get him to the ship with Ender so that they can fly off together.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it like a?
We want you to give us his title.
Yeah,
He's working up to it.
I don't think I'll be able to get that.
What are they doing on the ship? What are they headed off to do? That's a hint for you.
Oh, that's right. They give him. That's such a heck of a clue. They make him like planetary governor of the new planet, right?
I'm afraid that's not right. He is. He's made Minister of Colonization.
Minister. Okay, yeah, I'd never gotten that.
Yeah.
That's
You
a good
actually
question.
find out in Ender of Exile that Ender is made. Well, I'm going to spoil this for you. He was made governor of a new planet, and
Thanks a lot, Kelly.
You're welcome, everybody. Everyone listening.
I haven't read that yet.
You can beep it out. I mean, not out of our brains.
Can
I
if you
can't
want.
beep it out. I haven't read the book. So
That's the
thanks.
saddest thing I've ever heard.
So what's the harder question than that?
Oh, Crystal, you want to read that?
All right. What is Ender doing at the moment when... Did I word that? Okay. What is Ender doing when Valentine arrives on Eros?
Oh, he's wait. Oh, no. For some reason, I was thinking of when they visited in the pond and he was on the raft.
It's very obscure. If you get this, then I think you're a genius.
Yeah, I had to go look this up in the book.
Yeah, I would say he was like weaving a basket. I don't know. What was he doing?
He was weaving a basket.
I'm thinking of Alvin Maker, I think.
Knitting, Alex.
Knitting! Ah!
No, he
Oh my
wasn't
God.
knitting. I'm joking. I'm
No,
joking.
he like has like a background in knitting. You didn't know that
Who?
though, right? Hugh,
No.
his like mom owns like a yarn shop or something, right?
Really?
I'm a horrible knitter, though.
I'm
So
more
what,
of a
no, but what was he doing?
He was installing the shield on a ship's ansible.
Oh,
That was gonna be
Yeah,
your next answer.
obscure
right?
and hard.
that is very obscure.
You were gonna go straight from he was weaving a basket to he was
yeah.
installing.
No, I was never going to get that.
But that was a really good try. I wouldn't even have guessed. Ender and basket weaving.
All right, so you are a commander. Congratulations.
You guys don't have much scale there. It's like commander or fart eater.
I know.
Yeah. What
Hit or
can-
miss, really.
What
I
can
like
we
it.
put in
I like
between? Oh, actually, Aaron Johnson last week did mention that because I think what was his score, Kelly? Was it 2.5?
It was 2.5.
He was
yeah,
saying
so
that he
better
could
than
be the
Erica.
commander of the fart eaters.
Yeah, we were gonna
Ah,
give the fart eaters a leader But
I bet,
and who
so
better
what questions did you give him? I have to go listen to the podcast. See what
I would
questions
have
are.
to go look.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you want to do his quiz?
No, I don't want to get competitive with him. I'll listen to the podcast.
All right. So, yeah, that about wraps it up. We really want to thank you for coming on and joining us and talking Ender's Game with us. It was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so jealous of both of you to have been on the set, and it'll be fun to see the film. I'll keep following the podcast and watch you guys ramp up your excitement until the movie comes out.
Yeah, when our set visits are allowed to be posted, I'll send you a link and stuff like that so you can go look at it. They took one picture of us, which we still haven't seen like a year later, so I'm just scared that they don't have it. That's like the only evidence that we were actually there.
We weren't allowed to
You've also got the black string.
And we were allowed to keep those
badges.
Press badges, which I was so excited about. I was like, please let me take these. I just need, because it has my name on it, and it has like where they filmed, and it says Ender's Game and press, and it just makes me so happy when I look at it.
Yeah,
I
carry mine around in my purse.
Total proof.
In my back pocket. But yeah.
All right, so we want to thank everyone for listening to our show. You can catch all our past episodes on our website, www.endercast.com, and you can also find us on iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter at @EGEndercast, and that's our Facebook name as well. And thank you for listening, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye, guys.